and I'm here today with Jay Gosselin, career coach. How you doing, Jay?
I'm very good, Lewis. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. Tell us a bit about when people need some direction, how is it that you can help them?
So, as a career coach, the first and most important step for me is to build a trusting relationship with the client, with the other person, and that's usually happens fairly quickly for coaches. But the next step beyond that, once you've built a certain amount of trust, is to really better understand that person's motivations, who they are, what they need, and what they want in life. And to me, that comes down to really understanding the individual's authentic interests, values, and strengths. And that is the kind of, those are the three most important characteristics that I think people need to focus on when they're building a purposeful career.
Okay, that makes sense. A lot of times when you ask somebody who's unhappy in their current position, what do you want? Their answer is, I don't know. So if you had a complete novice who says, I had no idea, what do you start them with?
So for me, I start with a number of tools that I use that help them draw out or draw attention to their interests, values, and strengths. So as an example, something like values, especially for young professionals, it's kind of an abstract thing. And I think people who don't spend any amount of time in their lives attending to what their values are and understand that concept, it's quite confusing. So once that's established that they really have no idea, that they need a lot of help with that, the next step would be to help understand where the barriers are for them to be able to understand themselves. So there's a number of tools to use.
Yeah. So, but I guess the bottom line is that if there are people who are saying, I don't know what I would tell the guy, that's okay.
That's totally okay. Yeah. That's a
Yeah.
big part of the role for us. Yeah.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Have you met a lot of public servants that are unhappy in their current job?
Yeah. I would say unfulfilled, and
Unfulfilled.
the answer is yes, but I would say it's also across other industries as well, not just public servants. And for me, a big reason why that is that one of the philosophies, one of the theories in psychology that I work within, it's called self-determination theory. And it states quite simply that in order to be intrinsically motivated, to feel a sense of connection to what we're doing, and to want to undertake an activity simply for the gratification or satisfaction that we get out of the activity itself, as opposed to performing some exercise or activity for an external reward. In order to be intrinsically motivated, it's been shown that people need they have three basic needs that need to be met: autonomy, competence, and relatedness. And I believe that in many industries today, autonomy in principle is one of the biggest factors that's been removed for a variety of reasons coming from the Industrial Revolution.
Fair enough. Yeah, and certainly a point that it's just not the public service has no monopoly on unhappy people. That
Right.
they have that all around. But when I practiced as a lawyer, I was very unhappy. It was a bad fit.
Right.
And just because you've decided you want to do something and trained for it, that doesn't necessarily make it a good fit any more than if you fell into the job because everybody told you to take it because you live in Ottawa.
Yeah, there's a lot of external factors, right? And you hit on something that's really, really interesting, is that I've met many people, but I've met individuals, one individual in particular that I'll never forget, a top level manager at an international international accounting firm, in a meeting at about 4:30 on a summer day. It was, beautiful outside, and they have a beautiful office building downtown Ottawa. And he looked outside and he said, "Oh, wouldn't it be nice to be out there having a drink?" And I said, "Well, why aren't you?" And he said, "Oh, what do you mean? I got work. I'll be here till 10 o'clock tonight. I got all kinds of things I need to finish up." And I said, well, why don't you, lessen your load or do another job? And he said, "Oh, got the car and the house and all these responsibilities." So he got to the point in his life where he felt trapped because he had made decisions early on based on what other people, he perceived other people to want for him versus what he wanted for himself.
What do you make of the role of fear here in people's not wanting to move forward?
I think we experience fear in different ways over the span of our lifetime, but for those that are kind of cemented into a career or have kind of built a life around a particular job, it's hard, especially when they have all these responsibilities. They're fearful of not being able to provide, not being able to, accommodate their family, not being able to tell others that they're a successful person in life. I didn't ever experience fear the same way. I realized later that other people do. And now I read, of course, a lot in psychology. I confronted fears with the support of people around me when I was very young. And I got into the habit. I built a habit because I realized how fulfilling it can be to step outside the comfort zone. In particular, when I was 16, I got cut from the most competitive hockey team in my region. I was devastated. The coach called, and he invited me, the coach from Gatineau, to come and play for their team, which I did. And then, everything unfolded after that. And it was only because my father told me, Jay, just give it a try, right? You don't have to do it if you don't want to. Go and meet with them. And in an instant, I spent 8 months there. I grew leaps and bounds. I understood then that what we envision as the best path is only what we envision as the best path, because we don't know anything else. That to say, there are many fears. We all have different types of fears out there, but the fear of failure, the fear of not living up to what others expect of us, those are big ones for sure for people at that point in their career.
It also sounds like you don't have a fear of uncertainty.
I couldn't agree more. And in fact, that's something that I think, again, is a habit that's built. So, I mean, different personalities, we'll land on different ends of the spectrum in terms of how we naturally deal with uncertainty, but it's a skill that can certainly be developed.
For those people who think they do know what they want to do, but are having trouble making it work, what's the value of a career coach?
So I think there's a couple of many factors that influence people there, but one of them being all the negative stories that we hear in society about how difficult it is to be an entrepreneur, if that's in fact what they want to do, or how difficult it is to break into new markets. And I think we have a bit of an all or nothing mentality in our society, which I think is very unfortunate. And so the best way I can describe what I think is a great approach for many people is what I did. And I had a full-time job at a pensioned institution where I had great benefits, great people around me, but like yourself, it wasn't the right fit. And so I had an idea for what I wanted to do, and it was a very laborious process. Over basically a year and a half, I developed the idea for what I wanted to do in my business as a coach. And I carried it out first, working weekends, still had a full-time job, then went down to part-time, and then eventually left completely. So I think what happens is psychologists use the term irrational or dysfunctional beliefs. So people feel like, I'm in this job, I'm in job A right now, I want job B, I need to leave everything that job A is and jump into job B. And then there's all these things I need to worry about right away, and I just can't process that. So what I would encourage a lot of people, and many successful people who have started their own businesses as an example, the way they transition is to do that slowly, one step at a time. That takes effort, takes a full-time job plus an extra X number of hours. So that's also a fear for people. They don't think they can manage or have balance in their lives when they're doing that. So there are always trade-offs, as you know, in life.
Yeah, fair enough. Well, I guess the other thing I find is that people, for some reason, they're happy to invest in their massage or their haircut, or a 3 days, they'll invest thousands of dollars in a vacation for a week, but not to invest that money into discovering what career they should have for the rest of their life.
It's ironic, right?
Yeah. Can you tell us a bit about some of the resources that you have on your site that people might be able to use?
Yeah, absolutely. So on the mentoryou.ca website, there's a resource tab. And the reason I created this page within the site is so that people can access thought-provoking exercises and activities that will help them better understand their own interests, values, and strengths. So there's things on there like vocational preference identifiers, which helps people understand the type of environment, the nature of work they're best suited to and they're most drawn towards, and what that means and how to interpret that. There's assessments like character strengths. So what are you good at? Are you naturally creative? Do you have high social intelligence? Are you very caring? So that's a great one to really understand innately who you are as a person. And then there's values prioritization. So do you prefer freedom or stability? Do you prefer to work with teams or on your own? What do you value? Do you prioritize your health or money?
Great. We're going to put a link to your site below so that people can get there.
Great.
We've been talking with Jay Gosselin, a career coach, and I really appreciate your time here.
Great. Thanks very much, Louis.
Take care.